What's going on, Dolphins fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I am back for another video. The Dolphins seem to have just wrapped up their draft for the 2023 NFL draft. Obviously, we only had 4 picks, but overall, I think that they did pretty good. I would have done some things different. I definitely wouldn't have gone corner in round 2. But real quick, let me just say that just because I disagree with something or would have done something different doesn't mean like I'm mad about it necessarily. It's nothing against the player necessarily, right? Because, from what I can tell, he's a really good corner and, could certainly provide to this team, possibly immediately or definitely in the future. Because we don't know how much longer Howard or Ramsey's going to be here and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't hate it, and I overall like what they did with the draft. Obviously, too, free agency is still a thing. They have more work left to do in free agency, both with undrafted free agents and, other just NFL free agents. They have talked to Taylor Lewan, who I think would be a really good pickup. Dalvin Cook, I think, would still be a really good pickup. And honestly, if they pick up those 2 guys, I think it's a fucking lock, man. I think we're taking the division at that point because the team overall, I think, is very well-rounded. I think the coaching staff is probably the best we've had ever since I've been a Dolphins fan, really, and that's over 20 years now. So I'm really intrigued, and I am optimistic for, what this team is going to be able to put on the field. Obviously, hopefully we can stay healthy. But yeah, so let's go ahead and just kind of talk a little bit about, the draft picks. Now, let me just say that, I am not a scout. I'm not, any of that shit, right? Like, I never actually played football aside from, I played a lot of, backyard football or whatever with friends and stuff like that. But I never played football for a team. I've never been a scout or a coach or any of that kind of stuff. So, obviously when it comes to my evaluations, it's very just, my opinion and based off of what I'm seeing and hearing from other people. There's obviously Reason, who's a, prominent Dolphins YouTuber. And he's probably one of the people whose opinion I trust most when it comes to evaluation. So I'll give you a little bit of some stuff he said about the last draft pick that we took. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. So like I said, the Dolphins did have 4 draft picks. This should be a pretty quick video. They did have 4 picks this year, starting with round 2. Obviously, their first round pick was forfeited because of the tampering or whatever. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So we didn't have a first round pick. Our first pick came at number 51 overall in round 2. They chose Cam Smith, cornerback out of South Carolina. Again, I wouldn't have gone corner. I would have gone either running back or tight end or offensive line. Well, offensive line, running back, tight end in that order. Even linebacker I would have taken over a corner, but again, this kid seems to have a lot of potential. He's a bigger guy, 6'1", 180, 4.4 speed, so he's pretty quick. 38-inch vertical. And again, he could definitely be a player for us that could be impactful now and in the future. The only real issue that I had with it, it's not so much the player. Let me just say this. The only real issue I had with it is that we have a ton of guys in that room already, and we have 2 of the best corners in the league, Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. Not to mention, Keon Cross and Nick Needham, Trill Williams, who am I missing? Oh, Kader Kohu, right? We have all these guys, and I definitely think that there were bigger needs. Now, again, they have made, with the rest of our picks, they did fill some of those needs, even though they're obviously later round picks, especially the picks that they made today. And we don't know necessarily if they are going to have an impact, especially in the, immediate future. But at least they did fill needs. And again, they do plan to, continue into free agency. And obviously they're going to bring in a bunch of undrafted free agents and so on. And if you know me and my philosophies, I don't scoff at players really taken anywhere in the draft. I mean, Tom Brady, the greatest of all time at the quarterback position, was taken in the later rounds, right? And there are tons of players who became, superstars in the later rounds. They put up a graphic during the stream, about Marquez Colston, Donald Driver, and a bunch of other guys that were drafted in the 6th and 7th round who, a couple of them on that list became Hall of Famers. So, and then of course there are at times really notable undrafted free agents. So I just think it's really about the organization, their ability to identify talent and then develop that talent is really the more important thing. But having said that, I think that if you do things properly, you can have a better chance in the earlier rounds just from the perspective of that's generally where the best talent comes from. Now, again, that's not always the case because sometimes our guys are undrafted and they become superstars. Anyway, moving on. I really loved, though, their pick from round 3, 84 overall. Devon, Achane. I want to make sure I get that right. Devon Achane, running back out of Texas A&M, does his dual threat ability, 60 catches and nearly 2,500 yards from scrimmage over the past 2 seasons, and lightning speed, 4.32 at the combine. Cool the rumors of Dalvin Cook? I hope not, but he does have, he definitely had good production. If you look at his highlights, he shows some really good things on tape. Some good quickness, good agility, good vision, good ability to break tackles, some good moves on him. And he is really fast. Obviously, that's something that the Dolphins really covet, especially under Mike McDaniel. And so it looks like, as per the usual and right on par, they're bringing in a lot of fast guys. I mean, the corner that we brought in was 4.4, had 4.4 speed as well, right? So, again, they really love fast guys. Although that corner is 6'1", he is at 180. He is a little bit on the bigger side for having that kind of speed. So that is good. And he does apparently have some good ball skills too, which is nice. So again, it's not that I dislike the kid, the player, or the pick. It's just I think that there was better priorities. But they came back in round 3. They took a running back. I do hope that they still bring in Dalvin Cook. I would love to see them bring in Dalvin Cook. I think that if they do that, that really rounds out that running back room, and we're set there. And then, so, some of the other needs we had, obviously, offensive line, tight end, those are kind of the bigger needs at this point. There is talk and rumors, as I mentioned earlier, that they could potentially bring in Taylor Lewan. Look, if they bring in Dalvin, I said this a minute ago or earlier in the video, if they bring in Dalvin Cook and Taylor Lewan, especially with the guys that they drafted, I think we're basically set. And I think we stand it's not, nothing's guaranteed, but I think we stand a damn good chance of taking the division with like 12 plus wins on the season. They just have certain holes that they really need to fill. And when it comes to the offensive line, for decades now, we've seen that be the Achilles heel. No matter who was at quarterback, all the way back to the Tannehill days, now with Tua, some of the guys that were in their interim, and so on and so forth, and it has stalled our offenses. It is, not allowed our pass catchers to do what they need to do, our running backs to do what they need to do, et cetera, et cetera. So offense, I'm one of those kinds of people that says build through the trenches, from the trenches out. That's the way, to me, it makes the most sense to build a team. So offensive line is a big deal to me. And obviously tight end. We did get rid of Mike Gesicki. He's no longer around. Now they did apparently tell Tanner Connor, who is a wide receiver. They've been doing this a lot lately. Tanner Connor, who was a wide receiver, they said that they are going to try him at tight end and work him at tight end going into this offseason and going into this season. And then they drafted a guy who, played wide receiver in college. Let's see, round 6, 197 overall, Elijah Higgins. He's shown some good things. He's shown some good catch yards after the catch ability, good hands. Obviously, he's going to have some things that he's going to need to work on as a later round pick, but he's a bigger guy as well, and he shows some real potential to be a factor in this offense. So now you're going to have guys like, Durham Smythe, who I actually really like. Durham Smythe, he's been, he's not a superstar, but I think he's a solid guy to have in that room. So you have Durham Smythe, Tanner Connor, and now the 6th round pick, Elijah Higgins. He comes from Stanford. And we'll see how it plays out, right? Again, I'm not like a scout or an analyst or any of that kind of stuff. So my evaluations are, somewhat limited. But from what I've heard, he does have some potential and has some ability to even contribute right away. And then obviously potentially for the long term, since he's, just being drafted this year. As for our last and final pick in round 7, 238 overall, they did take an offensive lineman. Now again, it's a 7th round pick, so he's obviously going to have some things that he needs to work on. I did some retweeting of various people, analysts and, media personnel. Reason, he tweeted out some things. So I'll go through some of that stuff here in a minute just to give you some of their perspective on these picks. But Ryan Hayes out of Michigan, offensive tackle. And, again, it was a need. So some more competition in there. I just don't want to see both Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. I think Eichenberg definitely has a better chance of being a consistent and better player. But Jackson, I've never liked that pick. I thought it was a complete waste of a 1st round pick. And I just don't see him ever really developing into the player that the Dolphins want him to develop into. Frankly, this Ryan Hayes guy probably has a better chance than Austin Jackson. So, and of course now Austin Jackson's been in the league for a few years, whereas this guy is just coming out. But anyway, let me go ahead and just read through some of these tweets. Barry Jackson says, per NFL Draft Buzz, new Dolphins offensive line Ryan Hayes allowed 3 sacks as Michigan's left tackle in 2021, but none as their left tackle in 2022. Now, from what I've been seeing, he is a left tackle. Obviously, we have Terron Armstead at left tackle, and we expect him to be there. Now, he could be a swing backup left tackle because, Armstead doesn't generally play an entire season. Hopefully, he plays a bit more this year, but in the event that he does end up coming out, he could be a swing left tackle. Although, and I would venture to guess that is something that they will certainly train him at. But it'll be interesting to see if they maybe do try him at right tackle and if maybe he can work his way up to being a starter. Honestly, I don't think it could be any worse than Austin Jackson. And if you saw my last video, I credit the offensive line for why Tua got his concussions last year, and that was mostly due to Austin Jackson. So if they can just improve from Austin Jackson, I think that's a win just in and of itself. Anyway, he started 30 games, though, at left tackle, which is good. That's good experience. Arm length is a question per ESPN's Matt Miller. Guard an option for him, so obviously we'll see. Some things that Reason had to say about it is Dolphins take Ryan Hayes, who is just outside his top 15 offensive tackles, displays really good upper body strength with an edge to his style of play, loves being physical in the trenches, but can have leverage issues at 6'7", so he is a big dude too. 6'7", that's freaking tall. Good feet that move fluidly, so that's huge. That is very important. Pretty good recoverability if beaten off the snap by a speed rusher. Again, all of those just bode well over Austin Jackson. So I already like this dude more than I like Austin Jackson. As you can tell, I don't like Austin Jackson. Anyway, and I just don't want to see Tua get hurt, bro. Because if we can keep this team, generally healthy, particularly our quarterback, I think our defense is going to be pretty fucking stellar under Vic Fangio and with the players that we got. Come on, bro. Our defensive line, now linebacker is still a little bit of a question to me, but Jerome Baker's still there. They brought in David Long. They have a few guys in that room that have some potential. But really though, our defense, the defensive line and the back end, I think are going to be nasty. You got Christian Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, Zach Sealer's still there, right? You have, for our interior defensive line, then you still have Bradley Chubb, Emmanuel Ogbah, Jalen Phillips. Our edge rushers are looking pretty damn good. Our corners, you have Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, Nick Needham, Kader Kohu, Keon Crossan. All these guys have obviously on different levels, but even some of those those younger guys. Trill Williams, I mean, he's coming off of his injury, but he's shown some potential and could be a prominent player. And then they just brought in Cam Smith, right? So that's secondary, and then that's not even getting into our safeties with Javon Holland and Brandon Jones, right? So I love our secondary. I love our defensive line, and I love Vic Fangio being the defensive coordinator, especially since he's been talking about apparently bragging, having new coverage styles and new schemes that he wants to implement. I'm really excited for that. Now, for our offense, obviously we have, Waddle and Hill as our top 2 wide receivers, but we still have some decent depth behind them. Now I think our running back room is looking a lot better with Devon Achane coming in, and hopefully they do bring in Dalvin Cook. I think that would complete our running back room, at least for this year and maybe the next year. I would love for them to bring in Taylor Lewan as well. You bring in Taylor Lewan, and you also have this Ryan Hayes guy coming in, and I think you can maybe finally have a good offensive line. That'd be Armstead at left tackle, Eichenberg still slotted in currently as left guard, Connor Williams at center, Robert Hunt at right guard, and then, if you can get Luwan or maybe this Ryan Hayes guy to come in and play right tackle, I think you have a pretty solid offensive line. I love Tua. By the way, I finally just updated my jersey collection because up until today, I have been very in the past. I'm currently wearing my Tannehill Color Rush jersey. I have a Devontae Parker, Jarvis Landry. I have a No-Sean Moreno jersey. All my jerseys are old, so I finally just bought a new one today because I can actually afford it. And I finally got my Tua jersey, and it's actually my first jersey in white. But anyway, I love Tua. I think he's going to be a stud for a long time, and I think he's going to do a lot of good things for us. Obviously, last season, even missing the games that he missed, he was still number 1 in the league in a lot of important categories, including passer rating. So I think, and then tight end, that room is, maybe a little thin, but there's some interesting prospects, especially with Elijah Higgins coming in. One more thing he had to say, though. Okay athlete who played left tackle, some right tackle as a sophomore, but doesn't have vice grip hands, and rushers with versatile pass rush move sets give him issues, especially on counters. So obviously some things he's going to need to develop as he goes, but, some good things there. He did have a really good 10-yard split, apparently, though. Let's see, just real quick, his hand size, 10 inches, arm length, 32.5. Composite size grade, okay. He's height is he's 298. He's 6'7". 40-yard dash was 5.18. That's actually not very bad. That's not bad. 20-yard split, 2.93. 10-yard split, 1.72. Reason is said that he's got good fluid feet, so that's good. 30-inch vertical. Let's see, shuttle, 4.68. 3 cones, 7.39. So some solid stuff there for a big guy, especially of his size. Made Daniel Oyefusi 30 starts at left tackle and was a second-team All-Big Ten selection in 2021 and 2022. So some good stuff there. Let's see. Let me see if I can find some retweets of mine from Elijah Campbell real quick. Where is it? Or Elijah Higgins, sorry. Jesus. Real quick though, somebody tweeted out a bunch of our players and their 40s. Tyreek Hill 4.29, obviously. Waddle 4.37. Chosen Anderson 4.34. Devon Achane 4.32. Raheem Mostert 4.32. Channing Tindall 4.47. Keon Crossan 4.32. Cam Smith was 4.4. David Long 4.45. Obviously we love speed. So we're going to see how that plays out. Let's see. Oh, real quick, though, Cam Smith, Miami Slick, South Carolina. Cam Smith, PFF college grade, an 89.7 coverage grade in 2021, which was first among all SEC cornerbacks. As far as Devon Achane goes, 93.7 rushing grade since 2021, first among all SEC running backs, so some good stuff there. Let's see. I'm scrolling through my Twitter really fast. Give me a second. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking. I saw some retweets about possibly bringing in Taylor Lewan. I definitely think, again, they should do that. Come on, where's some of the Elijah Higgins? I called him Elijah Campbell. Elijah Higgins. Where's some of the Elijah Higgins retweets? I have just a bunch of stuff. Yeah, like I said, he played wide receiver in college, but they do list him as a tight end. Doesn't look like I have... Come on. Didn't I have some of the, like, stats and analysis on him? Maybe not. Well, anyway, he does look like an interesting prospect. Obviously, a 6th-round pick, so we will have to see how that plays out, and he does have some things he will need to work on. But an interesting prospect and somebody who could potentially make an impact right away. Anyway, let me go ahead and wrap that up. That is going to be my, analysis or my opinions, my viewpoints, perspective on the Dolphins 2023 draft class. And again, they're still going to be doing some work in free agency and bringing in a bunch of undrafted free agents. So we will have to wait and see how training camp and all of that stuff goes. That's obviously going to be coming up here shortly. So I'm really intrigued, and overall with this team as a whole, I definitely see us winning at least 10 games. Again, if they can bring in Dalvin Cook and Taylor Lewan, I think it's 12 games. We take the division, and we're looking like, we might be able to even make it to our first AFC championship game in forever, and possibly even the Super Bowl. But you guys know me. I don't like to get ahead of myself. I like to wait and see how things develop. I like to see facts, data, and that sort of thing before I make, any real lofty or big projections. But I do think as it stands right now, even pre-Dalvin Cook or Taylor Lewan, I think we're still at least a 10-win team and can and should compete within the division. So anyway, I'm going to wrap that up. Let me get out of here. Make sure, you check me out and whatever. I'm really just going to be doing this, honestly, as more of like a, a fun kind of side hustle sort of thing. If eventually I get to the point where I can monetize my channel, cool. But this is just, I'm just going to be doing this really for me at this point and just for fun. It's not really going to be anything business, and I'm not going to be super serious about it. I'm just going to have a good time with it. So, but check out my videos. I hope you guys do appreciate my perspective and my opinion and enjoy my content. So I'm going to get out of here. I will catch y'all later. Let's have a good season. Fins up. I cannot wait. It's going to be a good year.
7 seconds left. Tannehill will throw it. And this will end it after the shuttle. Miami runs around, circling, on the down. Gronkowski did not beat it. Touchdown. Daniels Ray. Oh, miracle. Miraculous in Miami. Stills to Parker to Drake. And they held off the field. Unimaginable what has taken place here in South Florida. The Dolphins have done it. They keep their season alive. 69 yards. Wow. Pure joy. Miami wins it.